Grit and Grace Podcast. I'm your host, David Horn, coming to you from my garage gym in a small town in Illinois. This is episode 8, The Everyday Hero. Quick disclaimer, I'm not an expert, nor a therapist, or a doctor. I'm just a guy trying to get through this thing we call life on this rock we call home. And as always, remember, Jesus is the reason, the light in the way. Always be the light. Every day, acts of quiet heroism unfold all around us. Not the kind that make headlines or end up on your cell phones, whatever platform you watch, viral videos, but the small, unnoticed moments of kindness, courage, and resilience. You see, these are things like a dad who wakes up early in the morning, like 4 or 5 a.m., to provide for his family. A mother who sacrifices sleep to work 2 or 3 jobs or to comfort her children. The neighbor who shovels a driveway that isn't even theirs during the winter. A friend who listens without judgment because they care for their friend. A stranger who offers a smile who just happens to see someone who needs it. You see, these are the moments that truly matter. They shape the world in ways that we can't always see, but they reflect something bigger, something deeper. And that's what I'm going to dive in today, the everyday hero. What does it mean to live out quiet acts of courage and kindness? How does servant leadership, like the concept Jesus modeled, connect to our daily lives? And what does Stoicism teach us about choosing virtue, no matter how small the action? The world tells us that heroism is about grand gestures, like saving the day, being recognized, or making impact that can't be ignored. But the Bible, it tells us something different. You see, true heroism is found in consistent, humble service. Jesus was the greatest leader I know of. He was the greatest leader to ever walk the face of the earth. He didn't seek a throne, he didn't seek wealth, and he didn't seek status. He would do things that other people wouldn't do, like wash the feet of his disciples. He'd heal the sick. He'd dine with the outcast. You know, in today's world, we if we look at somebody and they don't look like they're quite a desirable type of person, we look the other way. Jesus wouldn't. He hung out with those people. Philippians 2:3-4 reminds us, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you look not only into his own interests, but also the interests of others. So this verse is powerful, and Jesus lived this truth. He didn't lead by dominance, but he led by love and by service. That's not only the heart of, but it's the epitome of an everyday hero. And that's why I'm here today. That's what I want to talk about, because it's not about the pursuit of recognition, but the commitment to goodness, even when no one else sees it. And that's a hard part. A lot of people will do good things, but they want the parade after. The Stoics weren't far off from the idea of commitment and goodness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. To the Stoics, virtue wasn't about theory, it was about daily action. They believed wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance were the pillars of a good life. Does this sound familiar? Those same virtues align with biblical teachings. James 1:22 says, be doers of the word, not hearers only. You see, heroism isn't about the thinking of doing good or the wanting to do good. It's about actually stepping up. It's about doing it, and it's about doing it when no one's watching. You see, not all heroes wear capes. True heroes wear many hats, like the single parent working 2 jobs, the teacher who stays late for a struggling student, or like a mechanic who fixes a car because they know that the owner's down on their luck and they just can't afford to do it otherwise. I want you to take a moment and think about the parable of the Good Samaritan in the Bible. And if you haven't heard it, well, Luke 25-37 says the following. On one occasion, an expert in law stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he asked, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus said, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" And Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, they beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down that same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey and brought him back to an inn and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Which of these three do you think was the neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." So you see, in this parable, the Samaritan didn't hesitate. He didn't ask, "What's in it for me?" He just did what was right. That's everyday heroism. That's what it's about. Seeing a need and meeting it. And here's the thing. You don't have to change the world to make a difference. What do I mean by that? I mean, it can be done in daily simple things. Like, take, for example, holding a door open for someone, speaking encouragement to a coworker, or even if you've got someone you know, or maybe you don't really know them, but they're just somebody in passing, and you know they're experiencing tough times, check in on them, and then follow up and check in on them again. You see, these just aren't small acts. They're kingdom work. They reflect the love of Christ. So I thought about what it meant to be an everyday hero, and I thought about how can we all be that everyday hero, but also be more like the Good Samaritan that I just spoke about. So I came up with 5 things, and I call them 5 ways to be the light. First, speak life into others. You see, your words have power. Proverbs 18:21 says death and life are in the power of the tongue. So what this means is encouraging words can lift a spirit and change life. Epictetus taught we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen twice as much as we speak. So what is he saying here? You see, speaking life into others is like being a bridge over a turbulent river. Just as that bridge provides safe passage over the rough waters below, your words can offer the same support and stability to those who are struggling. So when you listen and you speak with kindness, you're, in a sense, helping others cross difficult moments in their lives to reach that place of peace and strength, just like that bridge over troubled water. A true hero listens, discerns, and then they speak with wisdom. So how can we do this? Well, we can start by complimenting someone sincerely, like telling a coworker they did a great job, or reminding a friend of their strengths when they're struggling. You could even send a quick message of encouragement to someone who's going through a tough time. Or when you're at work or you're with your group of friends and they start gossiping and you hear it, turn that negativity into something uplifting. Or imagine a stressed cashier, you're in line and there's a bunch of impatient customers around them. Do you just do your transaction and move on? Or do you set the example for your encounter with this stressed cashier by smiling at them and saying something simple like, "I think you're doing a good job," or saying something like, "Thank you for what you do"? You see, this simple act can be a lifeline to helping this cashier get through what has been a tough day for them. And it will also change the mood of the other customers that I said are behind or around you, so that their encounters with this cashier may be more similar to the encounter you had. You see, your actions can become contagious, and if they're kind actions like what I described here, they definitely will become contagious. So this directs me to number 2, lead by example. Philippians 2:14 through 15 says, "Do everything without grumbling and arguing, so you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine amongst them like stars in the skies." Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "If it is not right, don't do it. If it is not true, don't say it." You see, leading by example is like being the first domino in a line. If you've ever played dominoes, you know that you set up one domino and you set up many behind it. So when one falls, it has the power to move many. Your example that you set can inspire and have a ripple effect of positive change, one action at a time. So what does that mean? Well, let's go over some ways of how we can lead by example. Be the first to own a mistake or apologize for it. This will show humility and strength. Show up on time. Do what you say you will and follow through with your commitments. Choose integrity when no one's watching. This is really important. Return that extra change when a cashier makes a mistake, or admit an error at work rather than covering it up. The only person who can give your integrity away is you. They can't take your integrity. Only you can give it away. And finally, think about these things that show everyday action. Like a father that keeps his word to his sons. It says, I'm gonna go to your game. Like a leader who acts with integrity. That leader's all about saying what they're going to do and doing what they said. A worker who does their best, who's always given 100% effort. You see, these are the type of people that not only lead by example, but they inspire, sometimes without even speaking a word. They let their actions speak instead. Actions are always more important than words. Number 3, extend grace and patience. Just know we all fall short. It's just the truth. There is no one outside of Jesus himself who has not fell short. Ephesians 4:2 calls on us, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another. Seneca also noted, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. So extending grace and patience, it's kind of like being a skilled chef preparing a meal. Just as the chef knows that good food takes time and care, you can recognize that personal growth and healing also requires patience. So by adding the right ingredients of grace and understanding, you can create an environment where transformation can actually happen one step at a time. So I've listed some examples of how to extend grace and patience. When someone's rude to you, instead of snapping back, respond with kindness. You ever heard the quote, kill them with kindness? Or you get more bees with honey. So do those things. I can about guarantee you that if you do, your day will more than likely change, as will the person that you encountered who was rude. Their day will change too. Or when a friend cancels plans at the last minute, assume the best instead of assuming the worst or getting offended that maybe they don't like you or maybe they don't want to be around you. Maybe the truth is just something happened and, you have to take a rain check. Show patience in small ways, like hold the door for someone. Let another driver merge instead of blocking them. Or my personal favorite, and it's a pet peeve of mine, put your cart away. They have all these cart racks around, and if you're counting your steps or you're working on your fitness, it's just another added calorie burn to put your cart away so that it doesn't hurt someone else's vehicle. So if you are in that merge and a car cuts you off, or say a coworker lashes out to you, know that responding with grace instead of anger is a quiet act of heroism. Just like putting your cart away. I hate to dwell on it, but it is a pet peeve. It is a quiet act of heroism. These are all types of people who extend kindness over anger and understanding over frustration. They know small acts of grace and patience can make a big difference. Number 4, serve without expectation. You see, true service isn't transactional. It's like what I referenced earlier when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples in John 13:14 through 15. This was a true lesson in humbleness and unconditional service. The Stoics taught that virtue is its own reward. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. So what does that mean? It means serving without expectation. And the best analogy I can come up with, the analogy of a river. Serving without expectation is like being that river that flows freely, giving life to everything in its path without asking for anything in return. Just as the river nourishes the land without expecting gratitude, you see your true service flows from the heart, enriching others' lives without seeking that recognition, that reward, or the parade that some people think they deserve after they do something good. See, the truth is, it's in the act itself. That's where the value is found. So how do we serve without expectations? It can be as simple as you're in a store and somebody drops something and you pick it up for them and you say, hey, you lost this. Or you could see someone carrying groceries to their car and they're elderly. Rather than ask to help them, just start helping them load their car. Or volunteer for a community event, a church event, coach a youth team, or just like I said earlier, shovel someone's driveway during the winter without expecting anything in return. You see, these are the types of people who serve without expectation and offer up freely without waiting for recognition or reward. They give of their time and energy knowing the impact of their actions exceed beyond what is immediately visible, and they just don't care about the parade after. They're doing it because it's right. Number 5, stay consistent even when it's hard. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we don't give up. Seneca taught, difficulties strengthen the mind, as does labor the body. So staying consistent, even when it's hard, is like being a mountain climber who keeps moving forward. You see, step by step, he looks up and he can see the summit, but it looks so far away. But he keeps taking each small, persistent step so that it brings him closer to the peak. And this is like your steady efforts. Even in the face of difficulty, they will bring you closer to the growth, the strength, and the success that you desire. So how do we stay consistent? Well, we keep showing up for people, even when they don't immediately appreciate it. Be patient in your parenting, your relationships, your work. Real change takes time. Stick to your values, even when it's inconvenient or difficulty. Always choose honesty over an easy line, kindness over sarcasm, and faith over fear. Be kind, be patient, and be virtuous. Doing these things, they're not always easy, but a true everyday hero remains steadfast, even when it's hard and no one's watching. These are the type of people who stay consistent, even when it's tough. They keep showing up. They keep doing what's right, even when it's not easy or it's appreciated. They stick to their values and they remain steadfast, knowing that real changes take time and effort. You may always hear me say, be the light. So how do we be that light? You may be thinking, I'm just one person. What difference can I really make? Let me tell you, the enemy loves that. So who is the enemy? The enemy is Satan. He is present in negativity, fakeness, phoniness, projectionisms, and just plain bad people. If the enemy can convince you that your kindness doesn't matter, that your efforts are insignificant, then Satan's won. But in 2 Thessalonians 3:13, it says, as for you, brothers, do not grow weary in doing good. And the Stoics went on to echo this idea. Seneca said, while we wait for life, life passes. So in other words, don't wait for the perfect moment to do good. Don't wait until you have more time. Don't wait until you have more money. Don't wait until you have more energy. I could just go on and on. You just need to start. Just start. Be the light in someone's day. That's how we can help change the world, one choice at a time. So, all right, here's the challenge. I want each and every one of you to start being that everyday hero. Be the one who stands firm. Be the one doing what's right when it counts, not because it's easy, not because it's trendy, but because the world needs your light and you were created to shine. Don't forget that. We were created to shine. So you have that light and you can be that light. So don't wait for the applause or the recognition, because real heroes won't. They do it for something bigger. They do it because the world is dark enough. They realize this. The world is dark enough. And they're here to push back the shadows. Even if no one else notices their efforts or their deeds, they keep pushing. So find your way to serve, to lead with humility, and to act with integrity, especially when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. You see, it's in the quiet and consistent work that shapes the world, even if it goes unnoticed. And here's the truth. Even when you feel like what you're doing doesn't matter, I promise you it does. I want you to think about something. It's like a single match. When you light it in a dark room, it can light up the entire room. So you see, that action, your actions, no matter how small, can spark a change that can ripple far beyond what you can see or even conceive. I'm going to close this episode titled The Everyday Hero with a verse from the Bible. It's Matthew 5:16, and it says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." I want you to never underestimate the power of a single act of goodness. You see, we're in a world desperate for hope, and your kindness, your integrity, your light, it all matters. Someone somewhere is watching you, learning from you, and being changed by you in the ways that they live, even if you don't know it. So stand firm, stay the course, and keep shining, because light doesn't ask for permission to break the darkness. It just does it. I hope you have a week full of strength, clarity, and the grace to handle whatever comes your way. And always remember to be the light.